pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, I think Char's got it. Perfect. Madam Clerk, take the roll, please.
Trustee Guyer.
Here.
Trustee Spurling.
Here.
And Trustee Bauman.
Here.
Trustee Youngerman.
Here.
Trustee Marisak.
Here.
Trustee Betzinger.
Here.
Okay. President Brawley is unavailable this evening, but we do have a quorum. Our next item on the agenda is public participation. If there is anyone in the audience that would like to address the board? No. Anyone on Zoom? Have we received anything?
We have not received any comments through voicemail or email.
Okay. We will move on to the next item of business, which is the consent agenda. We have the minutes of the village board meeting of March 28th, 2022, accounts payable through April 11th, 2022, in the amount of $879,125.88. Accounts receivable for March 2022, the refuse report for February 2022, the water production report for March 2022, and we have a proclamation for Child Abuse Prevention Month, which I will read, and at that time, I will entertain a motion for the entire consent agenda. Whereas children are vital to the future success, prosperity, and quality of life in the village of Montgomery, children are also the most vulnerable members of our community. And whereas every child is entitled to love and care in a healthy, nurturing environment, free from abuse and neglect. And whereas, according to local agency records, 718 children were confirmed as victims of child abuse and neglect in Kane and Kendall counties in 2021. And whereas prevention remains the best defense for our children and families, and it is essential to raise awareness of the courage it takes to raise a child and the need for all families to have access to the support and knowledge which child rearing demands. And whereas protective factors are conditions that reduce or eliminate risk and promote the social, emotional, and physical conditions contributing to a child's development and provide young residents a safe and a stable environment in which to grow. And whereas effective child abuse prevention activities succeed because of the community partnerships created between child welfare professionals, law enforcement agencies, education, health, community, and faith-based organizations, businesses, families, and residents. And whereas we acknowledge that we must work together as an engaged community to increase awareness about child abuse and make every effort to promote the well-being of children and families to create a strong, stable, and nurturing environment to help them thrive. And whereas April is National Child Abuse Prevention Month, and it is time to acknowledge the essential role of our community has to prevent child abuse and neglect and to promote the social and emotional well-being of Montgomery's children and families. Now, therefore, on behalf of Village President of the Village of Montgomery, Matthew Brawley, I do hereby proclaim April 2022 Child Abuse Prevention Month in the Village of Montgomery. And with that, I will entertain a motion for the entire consent agenda.
So move. Second.
Moved by Marisak, second by Bauman. Take the roll, please.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Betzinger.
Yes.
Trustee Guyer.
Yes.
Trustee Bauman.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to items for separate action. We have resolution number 2022-006, accepting access and trail easement and right-of-way along Nell Road. And this is going to Director Wolf.
Thank you, Trustee Spurling. So this is a housekeeping item that was identified throughout the initial 2022 infrastructure road program, where we identified that the road dedication and the shared path use dedication did not take place years ago. So we identified that, included in the packet. You'll see that the plat dedication of plat will grant 80-foot of right-of-way of Nell Road and access to maintain the existing bike path that is part of this in front of you tonight. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them at this time.
Okay. Any questions for Director Wolf? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Marisak, second by Youngerman. Take the roll, please.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Betzinger.
Yes.
Trustee Guyer.
Yes.
Trustee Bauman.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
Thank you, that passes. Moving on to item B, ordinance 1960, amending section 18144. Attorney Julian.
All right, thank you. The Illinois Municipal Code authorizes municipalities to charge a licensing fee for tobacco. However, currently, the ordinance that the village has in place waives that fee if the holder of a liquor license also sells tobacco. And we were asked to revise the ordinance to take away that waiver of the fee so that anyone who does sell tobacco would be charged a separate $50 fee in addition to whatever the liquor license fee is.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Attorney Julian?
Is there a latitude of range of what that fee is?
Yes, the statute says that it has to be reasonably related to whatever the cost is.
Thank you.
Okay,
So moved.
thank you.
Second.
Moved by Youngerman, second by Marisak. Take the roll, please.
Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Betzinger.
Yes.
Trustee Guyer.
Yes.
Trustee Bauman.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes, thank you, it carries. Moving on to item C, professional service agreement for Montgomery Park floodplain and floodway improvements. Director Wolf.
Thank you, Trustee Spurling. So as the village board is aware, we have identified improvements that the village is wishing to make take place in the Montgomery Park area. As part of this, those improvements do consist of floodplain and floodway mitigation. As part of this PSA EEI, this proposal does include scope of work for the design engineering and permitting of the Montgomery Park improvements in the floodway and floodplain. This is a critical path item for us to continue forward with those improvements, and I am happy to answer any questions at this time.
Are we anticipating construction to be next calendar year, then based on the timeline that's in the packet?
We are still trying to evaluate. A lot is dependent on the final design from Signature Designs. We're still waiting for some of that. We're working on a few housekeeping items to keep that process moving along, so we haven't pushed yet to that time period, but there is always that potential.
Then would it be after the fest, most likely?
The memorials will be after the fest. The hope is still to be able to get the stage set before the
Right.
fest. So, but again, it'll depend on the timing of final design and how that all works out.
Okay.
Can we push signature?
We are. So this is one of the main things that they're waiting on as part of their final design is the information from EEI to get the survey work done in the park and be able to get that to them so they can have those elevations for part of the final design. So they are currently working on it and have been, so we're continuing to work with them to keep this project moving along.
Okay, I think that the village board, I mean, we really want that stage up and going for the fest this year.
Yep, that is the target currently, yep.
And tell them we've even given them an extra week because we pushed the fest for a week, so.
That's what we informed them.
Okay, any other questions for Director Wolf? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to
So
approve.
move. Second.
Moved by Marisak, second by Bauman. Take the roll, please.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Betzinger.
Yes.
Trustee Guyer.
Yes.
Trustee Bauman.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes,
Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
that carries, thank you. Moving on to item D, professional service agreement for North River Street water main replacement. Director Wolf.
Thank you, Trustee Spurling. So as the village board is aware, as we transition to Lake Michigan water source through DuPage Water Commission, through the IDNR allocation process, the village is required to bring our water loss underneath 10%. As part of that, the village has identified our non-revenue water reduction plan. So this is for the first phase and first project that will take place as part of this plan. This segment of pipe, basically from Mill Street to Ashland, has been identified as a critical segment of pipe that has kind of plagued the village for several years. Part of the reason for this is that soil conditions in that area don't typically allow leaks to permeate through the ground, so don't allow them to come up to the surface, so we have long extended periods of leaks. So this has been identified as our most critical item, and this would be the PSA for the design. I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
Okay, I think this is the one I was thinking in my head. So we don't have any construction showing on this timeline. This one would most likely be next calendar year, correct?
This one we're targeting for fall of this year.
Oh, okay.
Do you have an idea of what impact this will have on that water loss?
I can't,
Like, I'm struggling with how we quantify that loss if we're not exactly sure.
so the areas that we've gone through and identified, so we are currently working on a 5-year plan to come bring in front of the village board. One of the things that we're looking at is the number of breaks per 100 miles of pipe. There are different criteria that we're looking at. Again, this one really was heightened for us because of the fact that these leaks don't surface, so we could be going extended periods of time. So there are, I would say it's going to be difficult to quantify at this point until, mostly the reason is because the construction will have to take place and we'll almost need a calendar year to be able to make that assessment before we can figure that out. On top of that, it complicates things because we're also working on some internal financial, where basically we've got some internal things that we're working on to improve our water loss. For example, billing ourselves, billing fire departments for the usage are things that we hadn't been doing in the past and now are being identified as water loss, even though we're accounting for that water because it's not billed, it goes against the village. So when we take those things and start adding them in on top of this project, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But again, considering where we're at with 29%, we've got a long ways to go, and this definitely is going to move us in the right direction.
Okay, thank you.
Follow up to that question. Specifically, you said in this area, the water doesn't come up to the surface, right? So what are the signs that leads you to say, okay, this stretch, there's a significant loss occurring that we need to replace this section of pipe? If it's not coming to the surface, what are those signs that you've seen to make that decision?
So again, great question. We have all the data throughout, I think it's the past 20-plus years of water main break history in the village. So we're able to, again, take that segment of pipe, see the number of breaks that have occurred there. We continually find breaks there. There are different signs. Honestly, the snow helps us in the wintertime because we'll see areas where there is no snow accumulation, which identifies that there's just enough moisture in the ground that it's dissipating that snow. So there are things like that. And also a critical thing that we utilize is our village-wide leak survey, where they'll come in and use acoustics to identify noise and then correlate those segments of pipe to figure out exactly and pinpoint that. And then again, all of that data goes into our GIS system where basically we have all of these areas are already pinned where we have these breaks. So we're able to take all the critical segments that have a higher break ratio, and those are the ones that we're targeting first. And like I said, specifically here because in most instances, when there's a water main break, it's pretty apparent in a relatively short amount of time, whereas the soil conditions that are close to the river, it dissipates. So again, there's even a more aggressive reason to go after these segments of pipe because they can be extended periods of water loss.
Just to put things in perspective, I don't think it was this past year, but the year before, when you guys started locating breaks up there and started fixing them, how many breaks did you have in a?
I believe, and don't quote me, I think we did 8 water main breaks in a course of about 48 hours, which accumulated for some major, I shouldn't say major, but for some water quality issues that we were seeing out in the Boulder Hill region, mostly because of the reason that we were losing so much water coming from our central lime softening plant that it wasn't making it up to the Boulder Hill area, and so caused a little bit of disruption for us. So again, this is a much needed section that needs to be replaced. And then the nice part about this segment of Pipe 2 is that the road program will come through in the following year, so not this construction year, but the next. So again, while we'll have some road cut from Mill Street to the end of Taylor, where the water main is located in the road, that will only be temporarily patched, and then the resurfacing program will come through next year. The remainder of the stretch, the pipe is currently located outside of the road segment. So again, trying to be proactive in looking at our IRP as it relates to our plans to move forward with water main replacement.
And that work would be done, obviously, around the fest.
We would, yeah, and that's why we're targeting,
Not around, but
yes, that's why we would be targeting the fall after Montgomery Fest would be complete. And obviously, this would be a completion of probably just a few months to complete this segment. So it would be done well before the Montgomery Fest the following year.
any other questions for Director Wolf?
Motion to approve.
Second.
First by Guyer, second by Youngerman. Take the roll, please.
Trustee Guyer.
Yes.
Trustee Bauman.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes,
Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Betzinger.
Yes.
that passes. Thank you. Moving on to items E and F, they are related. First is the recommendation from the Plan Commission, and the second one is the ordinance. This is granting a special use permit for a duplex and variations. Director Apt.
Thank you, Trustee Spurling. We have the petitioner proposing to build a duplex at the corner of Clinton and Railroad Streets. That is zoned at Mill District, so in the Mill District, single-family residential is considered a special use, hence the need for the special use. Additionally, in order to provide the required parking on this site, they are requesting several variations. Our code does require for residential properties, specifically duplexes, townhouses, and single-family homes, that most of the parking needs to be provided under roof. In this case, they are only proposing to build a two-car garage that would have one space under roof for each unit. They're required to provide two, plus one additional parking space that's uncovered. In order to meet the intent of the ordinance, they are providing parking pads on either side of the driveway. So they are providing the required 6 parking spaces. They're just not necessarily all contained within a garage. Because they're providing these parking pads, it is requiring a couple of variances from our driveway and parking codes. So they're also requesting relief from the driveway width requirement, which limits it to 20 feet at the property line. Their driveway and the parking pads together will be about 43 feet wide. And this is access off of the alley, so not directly on one of the streets. Additionally, we restrict parking pads to be no wider than the garage, since this is only a 2-car garage, and we'll be providing the 2 spaces in front of the garage. These additional parking spaces are provided on either side, and so they're wider than they're on either side of the garage. So they need a variance from that as well. So we had the public hearing last week before the Planning and Zoning Commission, and they did recommend approval of both the special use and the variations with conditions, and those are outlined in the ordinance that you have before you tonight for first reading.
Okay. Any further questions for Director Apt? Okay, I will entertain a motion to accept the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Youngerman, second by Marisak. Take the roll, please.
Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Betzinger.
Yes.
Trustee Guyer.
Yes.
Trustee Bauman. Trustee Spurling.
Yes. And
Just
next item will be
Quick,
on
quick
next meeting.
clarification. So this, going back to Mayfield Drive and areas where there are duplexes, people complain because they put all their crap in their garage. Oh, it's snowing, I don't have space to get my vehicles off the street. I don't care. When it snows, get your vehicles off the street. We're not gonna have issues with this?
Hopefully not. You
Well,
never know, but
If we do?
we do allow
that's what
parking
the
on the
chief's for.
street, but we also have our requirements that they can't be parked on the street when it snows. So they will have to abide by that, and they will have to move their cars, and police will ticket them if they don't.
Okay.
Any issues with placing this on consent for the next meeting?
Yes. I spoke with Attorney Julie, and I have identified a potential conflict of interest, so I will abstain from voting on this item. Yes, thank you. Okay, moving on to, G and H are related as well. We have a recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission for special use for Cannabis Dispensary at 1970 Caterpillar Drive, World of Weed, and the ordinance is item H. And who's taking it? Director Act.
Yes. So we have the petitioner proposing to open a cannabis dispensary at the former BMO Harris building there at 1970 Caterpillar Drive. That is Zone B2. Cannabis uses, as you know, are special uses in any of the districts that they're listed in. So in this case, they had to go through the special use process. They meet all of the additional standards that you put into the code when you did the text amendment. So they meet the 500-foot spacing requirement from any residentially zoned or used property, any daycare, park, daycare home, school, college, or university. So they're meeting that spacing requirement. Additionally, they will not be allowing any on-site consumption at the dispensary, and they will have adequate security. Again, this was a bank building, so there is a lot of security already built in, but they are planning to make sure that they have cameras outside and inside so that they are monitoring the area, and they have stated that they will work with the police department with their security plan as they work towards getting it submitted with the state. Their hours of operation that they are proposing are going to be Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m., Friday and Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays, and then 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Sundays. They are not going to be doing any exterior changes to the building, so they're not going to be changing anything in the exterior, redoing the parking lot or anything like that. So that will all remain the same. They meet our required parking requirements. The only additional conditions that we put in at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting were related to the Oswego Fire District's recommendation that since the drive-through canopy is not a sprinkled space, that they not be allowed to park any vehicles under there or have any combustible storage underneath that area. So that was a condition that the Planning and Zoning Commission added, as well as them having to provide the required bicycle parking spaces there, which will be 2 spaces. So those were the conditions that the Planning and Zoning Commission added at the meeting. They had the public hearing and recommended approval. And you have the ordinance before you. And the petitioners are here to answer any questions that you might have.
Is there any public comment?
No, there was nobody that wished to speak at the hearing.
And is this their only location, or do they have other locations?
Good evening. For the record, my name is Andrew Scott. I'm with the law offices of Dykema Gossett, 10 South Wacker Drive in Chicago. They have been awarded 6 licenses by the state, and so they do have approvals for other dispensaries and other locations in Illinois.
Thank you. Any other questions for the petitioner?
This is
Is this
the
the first of the 6th, or?
they have not opened up any dispensaries yet. This would be sort of in the first round of 6.
Any other questions? Okay, I will entertain a motion to accept the recommendation of the Plan Commission.
So move.
Moved by Marisak, second by Youngerman. Take the roll, please.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Betzinger. Trustee Guyer. Trustee Bauman.
No.
Yes,
Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
and ordinance will go on the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we have no items for discussion. Is there any new or unfinished business? I'm going to start on my right this time. Trustee Guyer, anything?
No.
Trustee Bauman, anything? Trustee Youngerman?
No.
Trustee Marisak?
Just like to remind everybody that it is distracting driving month for texting and driving, so please be careful and keep your eyes on the road.
Trustee Betzinger? Nothing? Okay. I also have nothing. Okay, we have no executive session this evening. You see the schedule of our future meetings. We do have 2 that have been canceled. Item E, the Historic Preservation Commission and the Committee of the Whole, So I will entertain a motion to, I'm sorry, Chief, yes, sir.
Yes, Madam President, if you would mind
Absolutely. You got it. Okay,
Motion for the meetings.
thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Marisak and Guyer, take the roll, please.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Betzinger.
Yes.
Trustee Guyer.
Yes.
Trustee Bauman.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
Trustee Youngerman.
Okay, with no further business to attend to, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Moved by Bauman, second by Youngerman. Take the roll, please.
Trustee Bauman.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Betzinger.
Absolutely.
Trustee Guyer.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned.